Money. It's what makes the world go round. And in Valorant, it's no different. Your chances of winning or losing a round are directly tied to how you and your team manage your economy. Much like real life, everything's easier if you're rich. If you've got the cash, spend your money on what you want and damn the consequences. But if you're broke, you gotta be calculated. You need to go into each round with an idea on how you're gonna make do with what you've got. And if you play your cards right, you'll be making fat stacks to become that 1%. That's why we're here to break down the numbers for you, like your personal accountant, letting you know how much cash flow you got coming in each round so you can plan accordingly and retire on a fat stack of RR. So first off, let's get the basics out of the way. Everyone knows that you start the game with 800 bucks, just enough for a pistol or maybe shields and an ability. How you spend this is going to be dependent on what agent you're playing and what your team wants to do. Are you guys playing slow and looking for picks? Maybe going all big dick and getting a sheriff is the move. Do you guys have a calculated execute to take a site? Then you're going to need the necessary abilities to pull it off. The important thing to take away here is that you spend your money with an idea in mind. There's nothing worse than seeing an idiot on your team spend all their money on abilities only to die before throwing one out. Or on the flip side, trying to rush a site, but your omen wanted a sheriff instead of smokes. Just communicate what the plan is so your team can buy accordingly.
Alright, so what's the point of you like lurking A if you're just gonna fight instantly?
Give me a moment.
Oh shit, here it begins.
No.
Oh shit, son.
Because I wanted to fight him.
Depending on how the pistol round goes, you're going to have to make a choice. If you win, you're going to have some money to spend. If you lose, less so. The most basic way to make some money is by winning a round. This gets you a cool $3,000. Each kill you get, regardless of the weapon you use, is $200. Pretty basic, right? Now we'll get a little into the weeds. Completing objectives also gives you money. Planting the spike or defusing it both give your respective teams $300 each. The important thing to keep in mind here is that it affects your whole team. So while it may just be a measly $300 to you, it's $1,500 net across all 5 players on your team. That's a piece of util for everybody. Not too shabby. Now we get to the real complicated stuff. Round loss bonus. If you lose a round, the amount of money you get is dependent on how many rounds in a row you've lost. Lose one round, and you're getting $1,900. Lose the following round, you're looking at $2,400. Lose 3 in a row, you're getting $2,900. And that's where it caps out. The most you'll ever get for losing a round is $2,900. You might be wondering the thought process behind this. Basically, it's a comeback mechanic. Can you imagine how one-sided games would be if you only got $1,900 for a loss? The first team to string together a few rounds in a row would have an unstoppable advantage, making for an extremely boring game. But what about the other way? Why don't both teams just get $3,000 after a round? Because there's no strategy in that. If you want that, go play Call of Duty. We play Valorant because there's a strategic flow to the game. You have to look at how much money your team has, as well as the enemy team, and try and come up with a way to win the round. For a lot of people, that problem solving is the appeal of the game. Now, there's one thing I haven't mentioned yet regarding money, and that's saving. No, I'm not talking about compound interest in 401ks. I'm talking about when you lose a round but survive. This is only going to get you $1,000 regardless of what your round loss bonus is. Now, some of you might be wondering why somebody would save if it's going to fuck with your round loss bonus. The reason is, the value of the equipment you save may be worth more than the round loss bonus. If you have full shields and a Vandal, that's $3,900 right there, $1,000 more than the max you'd get from round loss. If you only have a classic, then dying is going to net you more money than saving. That's why you often see teams trying to die to the spike after losing the pistol round. This ensures that they get 2 round loss bonus, so $2,400, while denying the enemy team $200 for each kill, plus ult orbs, and getting you your own ult orb. These are the kinds of things you need to be thinking about if you want to maximize your chances of winning games. So, going back to our example, it's now round 2. If you won, chances are you're going to get full abilities, full shields, and then a cheaper gun. Something like a Spectre, a Stinger, or a Marshall, or if you're a piece of shit, a shotgun. If you lost, you need to talk with your team and figure out what the plan is. Do you want to force buy? Meaning take a gamble on the round, spending all the money you have and try and steal a round win? Or do you want to save what money you have and try to steal the round some other way? Say maybe 5-man rushing a site, trying to swarm it for a spike plant, or maybe playing slow, looking for idiots pushing, catching them off guard, and then stealing their guns. Again, the most important thing here is that you and your team decide on a plan together and stick to it. There's nothing more annoying than having some idiot force buying every round and then begging for a drop because they're too dumb to buy with the team. This does, however, beg the question of when to force buy. Like I said before, You want to be coordinating with your team, but you're not just picking rounds out of a hat. You want to be calculated with it so that you're not forcing every round and digging yourself into a hole that you can't get out of. So when should you force buy? You want to be thinking about where you are in your round loss bonus, where your opponents are with their money, and what winning or losing the round would mean down the line.
Kind of feeling like force A, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm down.
Okay. Force by go A.
Okay.
So you guys lost pistol and forced?
Yes.
Desperate times calls for desperate measure.
All right,
Down
so we
4-9?
forced at 4-9.
Yeah.
John, do you want to take the steed here? And
Well, I think it's just because I think the pistol was close, if I remember, and money wise, it felt like we were kind of in the same, kind of had the same economy, and I don't know. Icebox A is pretty hard to hold, and fucking Gecko Jet KO, you can run it down so hard.
You can run it down pretty hard. Icebox A, I agree.
I agree.
I like the strat called here. Run it down A with Stingers, the classic.
we win. I mean, it's good. I think it's good to. I think it's good to
I think it
force
depends.
sometimes.
I think it's comp dependent and map dependent.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and you need to get the bump line before.
Let me give you an example. You're on max round loss, but the last 3 rounds have been really close. The enemy is winning the rounds, but they've only got like 1 or 2 guys surviving at the end. They're dropping each other, so everybody has guns and shields and abilities, but overall, this is keeping their money low. This is a perfect time to force buy and try and steal a round. Why? Because if you manage to win, you've broken your opponent's economy. They're only going to get 1900 and will be on a shit buy for the next round, giving you the chance to snowball an advantage.
Yeah, the other situations are like obvious. Like if you're down 12-0, like Amin said, it's like if you get bomb plant or don't get bomb plant, like you can force around that. The situations where like if you get bomb plant, but like their money's also not good. Like let's say you kill all 5 of them, or like somehow you don't win the round, but like 4 of them die or something. And then like let's say you can buy your teammate like a vandal or some shit, and they can buy full armor. Like that would be like a good force.
Oh, you should never force buy on defense.
Oh yeah,
Only on
forcing on
attack.
defense is ass.
This is why I keep stressing that you need to be thinking about future rounds and not just the current one. I've seen way too many silvers just force buying round after round, like they're sitting on a slot machine going into debt, just pissing away their savings. You want to be like James Bond, walking up to the roulette table, placing that calculated bet, and walking out with fat stacks in the girl. You can only do that if you're smart and savvy. But what do you do if you have a teammate who isn't buying with the team and begging for drops? In a perfect world, if you have the money to buy for yourself and still have some extra, you should drop your team. If your money's gonna max out, since you can never have more than $9,000 in Valorant, you should probably drop your teammate. If your teammate is a shithead who can't hit a shot and is team flashing and all that, you're probably better off saving your money for yourself or a teammate who's actually doing their job. Remember, the goal of the game is to win rounds, and spending your money wisely is how you achieve that. The last thing I want to talk about is some of the more obscure concepts in Valorant. First off, there's the hero drop. It's kind of like a force buy, but the idea is if you have one guy on your team who's playing like Zekin and solo carrying the squad, you know, like a hero, you buy them a gun so that they can spend their money on abilities and shields. Remember, we're here to win rounds, not get kills. If you're missing shots, maybe the best thing you can do is support the players who are actually hitting them.
Another thing worth mentioning is knowing what shields to buy and when. It used to be a simple decision. There were full shields and half shields. Then the Outlaw came out, and it made things more complicated, since it one-shot kills half shields.
Then Riot added regen shields, and we're still waiting to see how that will affect the meta, although Zelsa seems to be a big fan of them.
Jordan, do you think regen shield is good?
I think depending on the map and the spot you play, I think it is good. For example, me on split mid, I play Viper. I get spammed a lot. I take a lot of chip damage. I think the regen shield is good because I can get chipped and then I can just hide and I get my regen shield back. And I only spend 250 more credits, and I think it's worth it because you still get 50 shield. So you're basically, if you don't die in the round but you regen, then it's worth the 250 because half armor is already 400 and you're getting 50 more extra shield. So I think it's good.
Dude, I just love how you're always thinking about the game.
Yep, look at me. Look at me go. What do you guys think? You guys think it's good?
I think it's good.
But even with these changes, there still are times where you can predict your opponent's buy and plan around it. Say, for example, you lost a round and the enemy team has 5 Vandals. There's no point in buying full shields here, since the Vandal's a one-shot headshot. Save yourself the extra $600 by buying half shields and use it towards something better, like more utility or putting it in the bank for the next round. So there you have it, a simple breakdown on how the economy works in Valorant. The next time you load up into a ranked game, keep these numbers in mind and try and think about how you'll be spending your money, not just in the current round, but several rounds down the line. With proper economy management and a little luck, you'll be piling up that RR and ranking up in no time.
And who knows, if you get good enough, maybe you'll be able to start piling up those fat stacks like the Sen boys. Or, at the very least, managing your IRL economy and stop burning money on DoorDash while you're grinding your way out of silver.